This painting makes the concept of Samadhi more accessible to my Western mind. In Samadhi, the eighth limb of yoga, the self dissolves into universal consciousness, and the painting provides a visual representation of the absolute, or universal consciousness. Painted in 1823 by Bulaki, a court artist in Jodhpur, it shows the transition through states of consciousness as taught by the Nath yogis. Bulaki represented the absolute looking outward from the embodied consciousness, rather than the typical approach of showing an external view of the yogi in Samadhi, which is what we get in the middle panel. In the third panel, the gray matter flowing from the yogi creates the earthly realm occupied by his followers, who, in subsequent paintings, share the knowledge and multiply. I also read the painting from right to left. We start in the earthly realm, withdraw from the senses, cultivate the flow of concentration, and approach Samadhi, which Bulaki described as being, quote, without beginning, limit, form, or blemish. Through Bulaki's artistry, I can grasp this transition in a glance, at an intuitive level of understanding. This intuitive response eventually found its way into my practice of yoga and qigong at the beach, especially during poses of stillness like virasana, or the standing meditation of qigong, where it feels a little like the surrender to larger forces that is part of every encounter with the ocean. As it begins, I'm fully in the landscape, in my senses, feeling the breeze, watching the surf. The sense of self begins to recede in the presence of these elemental forces. My gaze settles on the boundary between earth and water, or between water and sky. Sometimes I sense a boundary dissolving, and a three-part vista of sand, sea, and sky becomes two. Then, in a blink, a two-part vista might become one, without beginning or limit, like Bulaki's field of gold. It's a fleeting thing. The boundaries melt and form and melt again. An ephemeral glimpse, perhaps, of a path toward something like Samadhi. It feels luminous, like I'm filled with light in every cell, right out to the skin, fully alive, yet contained, grounded. It's a winding journey that takes in Bulaki, art history, qigong, yoga, with a little Southern California beach vibe in there too. I'm comfortable drawing inspiration from this variety of sources, rather than devotion to one method or philosophy. It helps me recognize that a different mixture of influences and events shapes each student's own path to Samadhi.